Okay. Yeah, I just hit record. Welcome everybody to the 4 o'clock session. We'll go ahead and get started now. But yeah, as we get started, I just want to thank all the coaches who have gotten on here, and I know as we go, more and more will start to populate. But during the presentation, pull open the Q&A, and we'll answer the questions as we go when that time comes, and also at the end. But we'll go ahead and introduce our presenter for the 4 o'clock session. We have Coach Neil Hull here with us. He's been coaching for the last 34 years at high school, club, college, regional, ODP, WPSL, national levels as well. Currently, right now, he's the director of the PASS Academy in San Antonio, and is a director of coaching and player development there, and has built that up quite well. He's also the professor at UTSA, coaching various leadership courses, soccer courses as well. And just to kind of go over his honors, he's been honored as the staff coach of the year for USC coaches, and then also the national youth coach of the year for girls soccer. And Tasco's lucky to have him on. If you've heard any of his sessions in the previous years, he does an excellent job, and we're excited to have him. And at this time, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Coach Neil Hull here.
All right. Well, thank you for that, James. Thank you for Tasco for inviting me out to present. I'm very grateful. I'd like to just roll straight into our presentation, if I may, by leading with the thoughts of, when we have questions, there'll be question breaks in the presentation, and please put them in the chat room if you want to, and James will work through them, and he'll support the questions as we go in. If you want to break in, then maybe we can break in as well. So we'll just see as we go. So let's share my screen here, and let's get going. All right. Just roll into this first one here. And then we're in and away. Good. All right, so today's session is going to be on coaching through cognition. All right, as James said there, my name's Neil Hull. I'm the director of the Players Academy of Soccer Skills, and I'm a lecturer in coaching education at the University of Texas in San Antonio. We coach coaching methodologies, coaching leadership, and bits and pieces like that. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter or follow up with any emails, by all means, please do so. And you've got my Twitter and Instagram there for you. All right, so leading into this, as we start off this presentation here. I know I can't see you, but I've run this presentation before for people, and I'll just use the stats that we've worked for in the past. Running through Zoom's slightly different, so we've got to all be flexible in this direction. But question for you, and we use this rhetorically. When performing at your very best, how much of your performance is mental? We'll ask students, we'll ask coaches, is it 10%? A lot of the coaches will put their hands up. Is it 20%? We'll lose 2 or 3 hands. Is it 30%? We'll lose 4 or 5 hands. And we'll work this up to about 80%. And we've still got coaches with their hands high at 80%. And you're thinking, all right, so how much of this is mental? And if they're perceiving it as this, how much of it are they training as this? So my question to them following it, my question to you again rhetorically then is, what is the most important behavior you need to improve within your team? And we're going to get behaviors like awareness, communication, discipline, attitude, effort. We're going to get answers like this. And from this, how do you train that? What do you do to train that? Because chances are your players on your team are very strong technical, very strong tactical, very strong physical even. But then your breakdowns are going to be psychological. And if we do run this 4-pillar model, then surely when planning and prepping for the 4-pillar model, we should be putting 25% of our effort into at least each one. But do we? All right, so today's objective then is to coach players within the cognitive and the metacognitive use of the tools so they can proactively control their behaviors, teaching to accurately reflect upon both and during and after the game, ultimately comprehending a deeper process to gain the required solutions. All right. So as we go through this, now, if we know where we're going, we're going to get there. If we don't know where we're going, then what's our pathway? What's our process? So as coaches, we focus our attention on the product too much. We want to win. We want to put the ball in the back of the net. But yet, that's uncontrollable. You can't control whether that ball goes in the back of the net. You've got 11 players in front of you. You've got a goal that players will miss, put it over, put it to the side. But why do we as coaches focus on the product when we can't control it? But yet we can control the process leading to that product. And the more times we focus on this and work this process, giving the ownership of this process to our players and utilizing cognitive tools, we'll solve the problems. And so as we come into this metacognitive and cognitive thinking, ultimately, we're thinking about thinking. And today's system is going to be used through the idea of SWOT. All right. This is the gathering, the process of gathering and analyzing, dispensing awareness of information, cognitive information, behaviors that are happening on the field, on your training ground, around you. We're going to deal with emotional intelligence, EQ. We're going to deal with cognitive problems, IQ. Now, we continually tell our players they need to raise their soccer IQ. But how do we effectively teach this? Or have we effectively taught this? So this SWOT basis we're going to go through is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I imagine many of you out there have read the book Legacy, and that little quote at the bottom comes straight from that book. Now, I'm not going to swear on this presentation, but you can figure out the word in the middle. But the All Blacks, one of the most highly professional sporting teams in the world, have this motto of SFP, solve problems. And it's the player's task to solve the problem. We got to solve it. You can't solve a problem at the point where it's created. We have to solve it beyond that point. And the players are part of that process. And if we can teach them problem solving, we can grow their game and make them accountable for it. So this cognitional area to consider then. We're going to focus on this in 3 areas. We're going to focus on it on the ball, off the ball, and through transition. Transition with and without the ball. And the whole process we're going to look at is going to be behaviors. And I don't know quite where we're going. When we started this program with Reagan High School, I didn't know the players and I didn't know where I was going. And it's their task to produce that process. It's their journey. They're going to own this journey. And we'll see that as we go through this hour or so plus presentation. So strengths then, what do we do well? What do others see us doing well, cognitively, behaviorally? Where are we unique? Weaknesses we're going to look at. Where can we improve? Where are we inconsistent? What are we willing to give up? Now we can look at this tech, tack, physical, wherever you want to go, but we're going to take this as the psychological pillar. We're going to take this as the behavioral area. And then we can look at opportunities and threats. Opportunities of space, speed, support. Chances for positive actions to happen. Notice we said that, positive actions to happen. We're going to try and coach through a positive mindset. We're going to keep them thinking forward and challenge them to be positive and not look just for errors, because that's dangerous. That's negative thinking. That's playing the ball off your back foot. So as this grows then, the threats, the pressure on these players, their emotions as they get to them in different areas of games, the emotions of the coach that the coach brings to the field, time. These threats are anything that can negatively affect your game and your performance. And as we grow through this presentation, we're going to be looking at the coach as well as the player and how the coach can improve his or her game through the training session. So then, definitions about cognitive thinking. Cognitive thinking is thinking about how to solve a problem. It's just your mentality. What do we do to solve a problem? What tools do we have to solve problems? And then we're going to go into metacognitive thinking, thinking about how we think to make progress and monitor progress. And this is a deeper level of thought. It's kind of metacognition, which is thinking about their thinking, and we're going to reflect on what they understand. but we're also going to reflect on what they still need to work on. How can we help focus them before re-entering the field of play? Through metacognition, when are players playing and how and where are they playing? Are the players in control about what they're thinking at the moment? How do we know what went through that player's mind as he received that ball, as he sees pressure? If we can understand this and we can teach the person, then we can connect with the player. If we teach the person and the player, we're going to get double the output, which is really going to help us grow. All right. So if I'm thinking about this, I'm going to really start to ask myself the question, how can I adjust my decision making in the flow of the game as a player? And to answer that, I've really got to be taken through it in training, because it's not something that I'm going to grow. All right, so here we're going to start this video with Reagan High School, Ronald Reagan High School here in San Antonio. And I've never met these players before in the main, coached a few of them here and there, but it was brand new. And we're going to see a lot of shyness, I would say, in certain areas, because there's fear and anxiety, because we're entering a realm that some of these players have never entered before. So let's give it a go and see where we go with our first video.
You want to come here, mate, with the board? All right, guys, so there's a ball down there, there's a pen there. Under each title here, we're going to go through each title, and they're going to give you ideas, and I want you to write those ideas down under each title. Okay? So you're on the spot now. All right, so today we're going to go through SWOT. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. All right? So before we start, we're going to go into this, and we're going to look at that, and we're going to say, right, what are behaviors? So what does behavior mean to you guys? Reactions? Your actions. Okay, right, actions underneath there. What else? Action. What else? What else does behavior mean to you? Attitude. Attitude, good. Can you control your attitude? Yes. You can, can't you? Attitude and effort, the two things you can physically control that you bring to a game. So can you write attitude down there, and can you write effort down there? What choices can you make on a soccer field?
Writing everything down.
Right, we've spoken about effort as part of a behaviour. Behaviours will lead everything. Can you write effort under attitude? Behaviours will lead everything. What else are your choices on a soccer field?
Tough to get.
I tell you what, stop there. Draw a straight line down there.
So
you guys go over there. You guys go over there. You got 10 seconds to throw me back the biggest choice you can get. Get together and talk. Go. What's the biggest choice you make on a soccer field? The biggest choice you make on a soccer field.
We're going to get answers out of them.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Turn around. Who's the spokesman? All right. Speed of play. Put choice. Speed of play. What did you come out with? What did you come out with? No, I don't want a captain. Captains speak all the time. How about you? What did your team come out with?
Passing, shooting, communication.
All right, so choices of techniques. All right, what else did you come out with?
Aggression.
Aggression. Do you want to be aggressive on a soccer field?
Yes.
So you want to get a red card?
No.
Aggression is an emotion. You want to be highly competitive. You want to be an ultra competitive. You don't want aggression. Because aggression is an emotion, and aggression will lead to problems. What else do you come out with? What do you need to do if you're going to take a shot? What must you do when you take a shot? All right. What else? Now, what behaviour-wise? What psychologically must you do when you shot? Scan. Scan for what? Scan for what?
If you listen to them, they
stand for opportunities. We can come down to opportunities in a minute. Hold that thought. All right. What else do we work through? What else do we? What else do we do if we can take a shot?
not actually thinking about it.
Not the right.
What foot to use? Okay. Take away the tic-tac. What do you do in your mind before you take that shot? You can imagine you make it. We can use visualization on there. Put visualization down. What else can you do?
And try to make them create.
Back together. 10 seconds. Begins with C and ends in T. What must you do when you take a shot? 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7. All right, what you got? You got to commit. If you don't commit to that shot, you're done. If you don't commit to that pass, you're done. You don't try. Try is a waste of time. You've got to commit to the action. Be 100% in. I'm going to talk about interventions for you. We're going to work on a system of 3. You are going to be highly accountable for yourself today. If you're not accountable for yourself, your teammates will take accountability for you. If they don't take accountability for you, number 3 comes in, and that's me. I take accountability for you. And that's where a reset will come in. And we'll agree on certain resets. Reset might be just coming in, slapping hands and going out. Could be getting subbed off the field. Could be whatever it might be.
but you're accountable for yourself. When we agree on something, you've agreed to go out there and commit 100% from the data you're given at the time on the field to make your decisions. Or your teammates will do it for you. If your teammates don't do it, then we'll move from there. Finally, decisions. What decisions are you going to make on the field? What decisions do you make on the field? Turn in 10 seconds, go.
Again, asking
interventions, right.
They're going to give
1,
me
2, 3.
Because they've never
Self, team, coach.
They never wrong word to use. So they're not generally challenged.
What decisions do you take on the field? Whether to pass or shoot, you got technical, tactical decisions. What behavioural decisions do you have on the field? What psychological decisions do you make on the field?
Attitude and effort.
Attitude and effort, yeah. We can make the decisions of how much attitude we're willing to put in. If we're not a very good player today and we're only an 8, you've got to be the very, very best 8 you can be on the field. Because if you're an 8 and you're putting out the effort of a 6, it's very easily seen. So what other decisions do you put on the field?
Whether you play simple or like short passes.
Outstanding. How simply can we play to effectively create the outcome we're looking for? All right? That's where we're going today.
So just to review then, as we come into review, we're going to look at behaviours, we're going to look at the actions we take, the attitudes, our efforts that we can put into the field. We're going to look at our choices, our pace of play, how we commit, where we commit, when we commit. We're going to look, we're going to look at techniques, we're going to look at visualization, we're going to work on scanning of opportunities, scanning of threats. All right? We're going to define success. We're going to figure out what success is. We don't know what success is yet, but we will as it grows. Interventions, self-team and coach, and then the information and the data that we take in. I've got a feeling that's going to grow by the end of this session. All right, and that's where we're going today. A lot of information, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats.
They've built it and they've created it. Yes, I've got my plan. Yes, I've got my direction, but now I've given them empowerment and ownership into the session. I've designed the session, but where it goes and how it gets there is now down to these players and down to their abilities. So we've got to really now start to focus on this, and this might change. Will I get through my whole session? Today, even through this presentation, I know I'm going to cut some areas short, but I've got to really think on this. All right. So first session we go through, SAQs, hoops, cognitive, physical warm-up. We're just going to go through a very, very basic physical warm-up, but through this warm-up, I'm going to reintroduce and reinforce relentlessly this theory of 1, 2, and 3. 1, the player is accountable for themselves. 2, their team is accountable for that player. 3, I now step in as the coach and create accountability for everybody. If I can work this properly, we can succeed as a team and build our culture to grow. All right.
All right, so welcome to strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
All right, so welcome to strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. All right, we can go through a lot of scanning, a lot of movement, but before we do that, we're going to highly engage the brain, working through some coordination systems. What I'd like player 1 to do and player 1 to do when I give you the word go, I'd like you to go through the hoops, toe in every hoop as much as you want, come out. I'd like you guys to be sprinting around this pole and through that gate, joining this team. I'd like you guys to be sprinting around that green pole, through that gate, joining that team. Okay? As soon as the first player is in halfway, next player goes. So let's just go through the first one, nice and easy. Okay, Aidan, off you go, off you go. Just nice and easy, the first one.
Physical demonstration.
Remember our non-negotiable, if you move it, good. Good.
Everybody go through, off we go, nice and easy.
All right,
what do you got to do? Good. Non-negotiable, bring it back, go back to the beginning again.
Back to the beginning, replace it, come back.
What do you got to do? Good. Player behind him, hold him accountable.
Watch the players as they touch those hoops. If they move it, do they come back to the beginning?
Can you lift your head up? Can you start looking around?
Non-negotiable, bring it back, go back to the beginning again. What have you got to do? Good. The player behind him, hold him accountable. Good, around, sprint through.
Very basic, simple warm-up, but we're working through this ability.
Can you lift your head up? Can you start looking around? Did you touch something? Move backwards. Good.
I'm going to support it with challenge questions.
So as we're going through this, think to yourself, how can I prevent myself from moving these hoops? That's a nice one, I like that one done. What can I do to prevent myself from moving these hoops?
What can I do to prevent myself?
Good, hold them accountable.
Now this is great, but as we go through
it all starts from here.
Right foot in red, left foot in all other colors. Go. Fast as you can.
Challenge. Let's see what happens.
So you go back to the beginning. Back to the beginning. Right foot in red, left in all other colors.
They're thinking. Right foot in red.
Unlucky, back to the beginning.
The other color. So now it's a challenge for them.
If I have to reset you, we'll go through a clap, all right? Missed it, go back to the beginning. You missed your hoop. Right foot in red.
So, I don't want to give them laps. I don't want to give them any.
All right, back to the beginning. Can you make the run around the pole?
Jose Mourinho talks about.
Back to the beginning. Right foot in red. Good, I like that. Well done. Our first one has made it successfully through.
They try different ideas. Now we're trying to decide. Reset it. Get it right. Does he get it wrong? Does he come back? Yes. We're breathing back.
Hold yourself accountable. You're one. Team of two. I'm three. Around.
So they challenge themselves as they go through. Coordination, same rules. But they're holding themselves accountable. What we're looking for.
All right, and relax there. Good. So as we come in now, we're not going to work colours, but we're going to work opposite feet. So as I come out of this gate here now, my first foot going into this section is going to be a left, and then I'm right, and I'm left, and I'm right, and I'm left, and I'm right, and I'm left. And I'm working my hip line, right, my hip line as I go through. One, you're responsible. Reset it, go back to your start of your line. Two, team responsible. Three, reset. Are we ready? Play.
Continuously, relentlessly reinforcing these three ideas that will be seen in the whole.
Can you do your head up?
Right. Some of them, native people here, some people are still trying to improve themselves.
Good. And head was up. Well done. Good. Head up. Head up.
As we look through it, they're rolling through different ideas. Have they done this kind of essay? I don't know. But I'm not really worried about that more than am I getting the behaviour ideas through? As we look through the video presentation, we'll see how we can measure
Everything
that.
here is just brain now, just cognitive. We're taking metacognitive stuff now. Move one. Hold them accountable. Good. All right, and relax there. All right, so one more before we finish now. One more. Can I take two from the end there and just jog you around the bottom, please? All right. Left and right can be any color. Every time you come to a yellow, it's 2 feet. So quick feet, tap, tap in the yellow. Fast feet in the yellow, tap, tap. Every other color is your choice. 1, you close yourself down. 2, your teammate controls you. 3, I bring you in. Are we ready? Play.
So I'm just going to watch this for a little bit, but just giving them different ideas that they manage. Yes, I've got the SAQ going. Yes, it's nice and physical, but again, my focus is just on the behaviour. I'm just building 3 systems. Right. As it comes in, they'll move it around. They're jumping there on that foot, move it around. Are they watching? Are they trying to catch their friends in? Are they trying to help their friends play? Different ideas.
Nice. Unlucky. Don't worry. You won the credit. You go and take the run. You won the credit.
All right, I'm just going to stop that there and just move on to our next phase here as we go through. And we'll take questions on this if anybody has any questions at the end of this slide. But we're going to assess ourselves through this idea of SWOT and through these strengths. What happened in that warm-up there? We had a deepening cognition. It started pretty relaxed, just going through the motions. But as their teammates started to hold them accountable, it was becoming stronger and becoming more resilient to them, and we were getting a better product from it through the process. And we were sparking thoughts using these non-negotiables. Non-negotiables are the rules we place in to make things happen. All right, behavioral non-negotiables. Weaknesses, self-reflection. I have to look upon myself. On that session there, I was doing too much of number 2. I was breaking in too quickly to hold the player accountable for his actions when I should have waited for a little bit longer for his teammates to step in. Now I have to self-reflect on that. Maybe I'm setting up cones again and I'm thinking back through, what should I be doing? What should I be doing? What can I do better? How can I be 1% better in the next activity that I'm going to try and set up? And then opportunities. Reinforcement of this behavioral process through the warm-up. Threats, challenge questions. Not asking them answers or solutions, but challenging them with maybe behavioral questions or body questions, and then seeing, are they listening? And often we'll come across this again. I don't necessarily want them to listen. I want them to absorb it. I need to know that they're taking in these ideas. But how do I measure that? All right, we're going to come into our next activity here, 2-color poll game. We're going to go through this probably to get about 50% of this session out of the way. But it is a simple activity where you're going to pass and move to an open poll. So let's see where we go with this. Remembering, we're looking at the behaviors.
It's SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. So now we're going to come into a passive game, but there's going to be a lot of movement and a lot of ball action in this game. But what I want you to do is get together as a group and give me a strength that you look for when you're scanning. What do you look for when you're scanning as a strength? Get together as a group, please. Take 10 seconds. What threats do you look for when you're scanning, when you're on the field?
Giving them process-based outcomes.
5, 4, 3,
telling them
2,
what to do.
1. All right, what would you look for on the field?
Look over your shoulder to see who's behind you.
Check your shoulder to see the space behind you, see the person behind you, the player behind you. Good, nicely done, well done. Cool. What threat do you look for on the field?
The body language again.
Who's going to be tightly marked? Cool, who came up with that one? Who was that? Good man, well done. All right, so what I'd like to see you stand this side of the ball, young man. Come here, please. I'd like to see you stand this side of the ball. Everybody else go find a pole, go. Stand behind a pole. Any colour, it doesn't matter for colours. All right, guys, you're just going to be stood with me, and we're going to sub you in and sub you out, but you're going to go in with intentions.
Yes, sir.
Okay? All right, so we're behind these poles here. Orange, you're going to pass to orange to start with. Blue, we're going to pass to blue. As soon as you pass, you've got to find a free pole, any pole, and move to that pole. So a quick example of it will be, if I pass the ball to blue here, he's got to find another blue, step in front of his pole, pocket his pole out. Your behaviours are essential, and if you don't carry them out, who's going to hold you accountable for them? Your team, good. And if they don't, then we do. You pass the ball away, where's there an open pole? Sprint. Good, pass the ball away, where's there an open pole? It's got to go to blue, good, where's there an open pole? Good, where's there an open pole? Good, where's there an open pole? All right, and rest there. My non-negotiable for this game is the ball cannot stop moving. Ball stops moving, then we're out the game. All right, we're just going to go for a minute, go for 60 seconds, and see what success looks like. Blue and orange, play, let's go.
All right, so non-negotiable, the ball can't stop moving. Blue ball goes to blue players, orange ball goes to orange players. We'll continue to move around. Very simple game. Probably played it many, many times. But how many times have you played it solely to coach the cognitive pillar? Solely to coach the cognition. And these two guys at the bottom here, we'll be talking to them in a minute. They're my interventions. I want this game to be played. I don't want to stop this game. So I'm talking with these guys, trying to figure out what can they do to make this game better. When they go on.
Okay, so where did you see you can go on that field and improve in your behaviour first? What can you do to improve in a behaviour?
My movement off the ball.
How can you improve that?
Checking my shoulders and seeing where the pole is.
What are you checking your shoulder for?
See where everyone's going, see where my players are, my teammates.
Okay, so opportunities of your teammates. What else are you looking for when you check your shoulder?
See where the other teams.
Good, go on, find somebody. I'm checking, I'm looking at your shoulder constantly.
Full cognition, he owns it. He's told me what he's going to do. I can hold him solidly accountable. We've agreed on that. I can hold him solidly accountable what he's told me he's going to achieve. And by doing this, now I'm empowering this player to be better. And I'm also creating internal competition in the players because they want to be better than each other. We're just watching and observing, but they're still going through the play motions. And eventually through this game, we had another ball in, we had 2 more balls in to make it faster and play quicker. All right. I'm going to roll the video back in a little bit, but we also grow this game into playing open colours. So you can pass, any colour can pass to any colour, but they've still got to move to a pole. And at the moment, we're just doing a little bit of group thinking, and we're putting them off, and we're going to challenge them. I've been watching and seeing the behaviour we're missing the greatest is communication, and they're struggling with their communication. So we'll go through this a little bit here, and let's listen to this.
No, communication. It has to be effective, and the only way we can manage if it's effective or not is if it has the direct output. All right, so the impact of your communication is extremely important. So if I'm telling you to move and you don't move, my communication is ineffective. If I'm telling you to move and you start moving into the place I want you to move into, I'm getting an impact, the correct impact that I'm looking for from that. Can we understand that?
Yes, yes.
All right, repeat that back to me in a minute. Tell me what you understand.
We're discussing what.
All right, what you got? How can you measure it?
Listen to this group.
How fast you're playing?
Good, I like that. Time. Can we do it for 60 seconds, a minute, 3 minutes? What's success for you? What does success look like for you?
Winning.
All right, define winning.
Beating your opponent.
I'll give you winning. What's important now? What's important now is how many passes can you make in succession without messing up? Give me a time.
In 60 seconds.
60 seconds, cool, we'll go for that. 60
Everything
seconds, and if we don't, we reset back down. Agreed? Can we agree on that? Success? Cool, get back out on the field.
WIN.
What you got?
Now, challenge them to
So what is it?
the language they keep
I see what you're asking for.
What's this
All
guy?
right, can we agree? How are we going to measure that?
They're buying in.
Whether the output's finished or achieved or not.
By whether it's happened. All right, we're going to put 60 seconds on that. Can you get communication, 60 seconds, be effective with the right impact? Can you do that? Go.
And then we just play through this idea. Now we're just passing through to opposite colour. We keep working on this area of communication. And this area of communication that we're leading through is about having the desired impact. For communication to be effective, we have to have the desired impact. Otherwise, it's just noise. And if it's just noise, why use it? Because now people are just going to zone it out and they're not going to listen to it. When we as coaches are on the sideline just throwing out noise the whole time, your players aren't listening. So when you do say something you need them to listen to, they're already not listening. So we've got to create an environment where we can work with this effective communication. All right, so again, after this polls activity, we work through SWOT, strengths. Players define their own game. When we challenged that young man about, he said, I said, what's important here? He said, winning. Or what's success look like? And he said, winning. Great, define that for me. Because is it the score line? Is it connecting the next pass? Is it playing to the player in space? Is it passing to feet? So we define as what's important now. And it's in that moment. Keeping the main thing, the main thing, the main thing. All right? Celebrate with your players. I know we're in COVID and we've all got restrictions. But, fist pump them. Congratulate them. When they do something well, they want to impress you. They want to play well for you. They're not looking to fight you. So celebrate them. And then the communication. We went through defining areas and understanding. And I found that to be a bit of a weakness at the moment, to be honest with you, with this team. I'm a brand new coach. Maybe they're rolling a little bit of anxiety out there. Maybe they're not buying into what I'm trying to teach them. And it was a hot day as well. But I felt if we can grow this communication factor, we can really improve these players through this hour. Opportunity, teaching this word to them. What's important now? Introducing that phrase. And then as that video progressed, I changed my coaching position around as well. So I got different ideas, worked in different areas, saw different perspectives. The threat was player self-evaluation. They did not like looking into themselves. Metacognition. They did not like solving problems in new ways, not just looking at outcome products. But this grows, and this became a lot better as the session went through, as we should be able to see. So this game here then, moving on. Prior to moving on here, any questions from anybody at the moment? Do we have anybody that's got any comments or thoughts? No? All right, we'll wait through to the end as it goes. All right, so this next game then, same color, different color. We've probably all played this game technically, and it's a great game for observations, for looking up, playing with your head up, and all this kind of stuff. And you can turn it into whatever tech-tac outcome you want. But how many of you have actually taken a game on and physically played it solely, or coached it, should I say, solely through the psychological pillar for behaviors? But I guarantee you, many of you, if you have to write your issues down on the board, as we spoke about in the beginning, a lot of our problems aren't the tech-tac and the X's and O's. We're all pretty good at that. It's trying to get our players to do what we're trying to get our players to do. All right. So as we come into this, here we go.
SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. We're going to come into a game called same colour, different colour, where you're now going to pass to the same colour as your team. That player's now going to pass to a different colour. We're looking for scanning. And what defines those scanning? That's scanning.
So in this activity here, Ronald Reagan's colours are green and black. So we chose to have 3 different colours here. We chose to have light green there on the left, black at the top, and orange on the right. And as we progress through different colours, we'll roll them out. So the 3 colours we're going to be talking about are green, black, as in black colour bibs, and orange as we go through. But here we go.
Opportunities and threats. What could an opportunity be? A shot. We're going to call it a direct pass because we're not using goals here. But yeah, a positive direct pass. But what must that player be to make that a successful positive direct pass? Open, which means they're in. Good. What about you? Opportunity. What's an opportunity?
Challenging them to set their own boundaries.
A higher percentage pass. Yeah, good. What might define a higher percentage pass? Get together. Tell me. What's an opportunity?
Allowing an answer. Watch this big guy.
A direct or open pass.
We just had that. What's another opportunity?
Body language is massive. Part of their behaviour. But then watch him at the end of this phase.
Think about it. What's a threat?
Counterattack.
Counterattack. Numbers up, numbers down. Think about that. What's a threat? Well, you're still on opportunity. What's your opportunity? Space and time. Player in space and time. Good. Well done.
He's very active.
What about you?
I'm going to use him as a leader in the future. Same gentleman is now palming off.
Time. What about time?
So only give him responsibility.
How do you create time?
Moving off answers.
By movement off the ball, making the ball field bigger, scanning to make the field as big as possible. All right, cool. Okay, guys, I'd like Aiden off at the side. I'd like a black player off at the side. And I'd like a yellow, green. I'll get it right in a minute. An orange player off at the side, please. Good. All right, spread around the grid. Same colour, different colour. Balls in play. Go.
This time
watch
now,
them. We're looking for opportunities, threats. What are you seeing? Tell me what you're seeing. Come in. Same colour, different colour. We'll let them play.
Opening up.
Good. Where's he going?
Space.
All right. Did he check his shoulder before he received? Did he know what space was behind him? No? I want you to go and take him off, and I want you to check your shoulder every time before you receive. Play. Good. Come in closer. What are you seeing? What can you make to make a stronger, more of an impact out there?
Like spread out.
What's he doing at the moment? What's he doing?
He's checking it out.
Is he checking his shoulder?
No.
Is he scanning over to this area here?
No, no.
What could you do to improve it?
Check your sounding.
Show me. Go and take him on, take him off. Go. Look at your black players. Did he look right before he received it?
No.
Why not?
Because he was right in front of him, so he didn't like check.
Could you have helped him out?
Yeah.
Okay, go on, take him off. All right, second ball in.
So now we're just adding a second ball. Now it's going to create more speed, more awareness. They chose the ideas of looking over their shoulder. Opportunities, threats. Opportunities, space, time. Threats, pressure. They defined these before we went on in their little groups. Now they're holding themselves accountable. And the 3 people that are coming out, now I might not be able to affect everybody on that field in this one 10-minute session. But if I can get the first 3, now these 3, now another 3, I'm personally connecting with every single player on that team in the methodology that I'm choosing. Surely that's what coaching is. Connecting and building relationships. And if we do it well, we're going to build trust. We build trust, we're building a high culture. Right. Yeah, I'm now walking around challenging these players. How can we make this faster? What can we do to improve the speed of this game? I'm not telling them one touch. They're giving me that answer. But I need this game to flow, and I know we might make a few mistakes, so how do I measure it? So as we go back on there, you'll see as we start to play one touch, they can have more than one touch. But if they take 2 touches or more, they've got to move out and move around a pole. So they can measure it and hold themselves accountable. I needed 2 touches in that situation, I took 2 touches. But now I've got to move out, remove myself from the game quickly, run around a pole and come back in again. Or can I just play this one touch? Let's see how this grows. The one touch passing around, another ball comes in now. Same colour. Realise he took his touch, he couldn't take another one, around the pole. Holding themselves accountable already. If we can hear this, I understand, I know I'm talking over it a little bit, but we'll listen in a minute. They're holding each other account. Oh, hand language there, holding each other account. Okay, so now, brought them out again. Now we're working on effective communication through this session. And what we're talking about here, this is me now, because it's 1, 2, this is now coach bringing in a 3 to show how we can measure effective communication. And what I'm saying here is, as I pass this ball to the gentleman at the top there, I've got to put the message on this ball that the green guy is now open. Can he get it to the green guy effectively? Can I effectively put that message on the ball that the green guy is open? So can I work same color, different color, into triangles, into shapes, but through the medium, through the behavioral action of communication? And can I improve it? And then as we break back into this, you're going to see how we're going to measure it. We're going to bring it into a game, maybe a 2-minute game, a count to 10 game, of how many times we can see, physically see that happening. Now, I as a coach
Give me a time frame. 2 minutes.
My awareness.
How many times can we get that in 2 minutes? Are we ready? All right, are we ready? 2 balls, I'll count it through. How many times can we effectively get it in 2 minutes?
It's now for
Play.
me to observe and watch and keep this score. The game is theirs.
1,
We had our first one. Same color, different color. Are they?
2,
So we're counting it through to 10, but all I'm doing is observing. I'm just facilitating this action so that these players grow in their head-up environment and start to communicate. I'm just here holding, just observing, watching, looking at the body language of the players, I'm listening to the players,
8,
and I'm counting out loud. Learning a little bit of Spanish.
good night. And relax there. Good, well done, jog in. Good effort. Oranges, blacks and greens, please.
Hot day,
All right.
we got them running. I think we were 90 plus. 90
Get together, talk amongst yourselves. What was the most successful thing that happened to you there? Go. What was the most successful thing that happened to you in the past 10 minutes? Go. What was the most successful thing that happened in the last 10 minutes?
I feel like the ball is moving.
Talk to your team.
They struggle with offering success sometimes.
Did it pick up?
Yes.
Cool. Get yourselves a drink. Well done.
They gave me their answer. We try and connect a little bit if we can.
We got in positions where we could like pass in like short distances, so we didn't have to like run around.
But like in a triangle.
When you direct someone, hey, pass to him. Like communication.
A lot there, wasn't it? Yeah. Try and think of a big one next time. Well done. Good effort.
They asked them for
Good
success.
effort.
They all
All right, what we got?
found their own rather than the group. Now watch this.
Speed of the ball was definitely faster.
Did it? Okay.
The people were more open. It was wider.
What's the biggest one?
1-2s.
Did you find that helpful? You're a goalkeeper, aren't you? Did you find that helpful? Especially if you're getting that back pass, you need to know. He needs to be telling you who's on your flank and who's you can't pass there to Jack because Jack's under pressure, and that's the message you got to be telling him, because otherwise he's going to get done by 2. All right, good effort, guys. Get yourselves a drink.
Really pleased, for that big guy there at the end, because he was kind of like goofing around a little bit at the beginning, but he came into his own. I think he found his own leadership. He found a little bit of himself on the field. Don't know the gentleman, just met them for an hour, but already we're starting to put behaviors on that field. And if we can focus on the behaviors first, we can get everything else out afterwards. But how many times do we turn around to a player and say, yeah, you got a really bad attitude? That's kind of our problem. If we recruited him or her with a bad attitude, it's our problem. Can we try to change that attitude over time? We can try, and that's our job as a coach. But you got to ask yourself, now you got to think metacognitively, why do they have a bad attitude? What's the reason for it? Can we resolve that issue? Can we find the process that leads to how can we improve that person? And if we improve that person, we improve the player. Now we get a twofer. We get in twice the output on the actual action. Same kind of different color reflection then. SWOT, strengths, metacognitive process. I've got these guys now thinking about their process. They're really coming into it quite tough. And as coaches, we need to focus our attention on the action. When we pay more attention to the process, we as coaches, we're more interested often in discovering the problem than actually solving the process. So to cognitively solve this problem, we have to focus on the process. Why did it happen in that first place? Okay. Weaknesses. Review previous process through Q&A. Still struggling with them. I'm now reflecting upon myself as a coach. I wasn't as good as I could have been. How do I improve that for the next session? Opportunities. Scan. I step back in that game. I'm now looking at myself as the coach, not just the players. And I watch. We can call it watching covertly. Looking for outcomes. I'm keeping score, but I'm now watching around at the players, looking at the players, maybe bringing them off one at a time, reviewing them, asking them their intentions. What did they do well? How can they do it better? What led to that success? How can we repeat that success again? Whatever it might be. And then the time. I felt in that one, I was very impatient. I was listening to reply rather than listening to listen. So I'd ask a question and I'd either possibly answer my own question versus do what a gentleman called Doug Lemov talks about, cold calling. We're all educators, we're all teachers. We all know what cold calling is, and we've got to relentlessly work on our skills through this sometimes as well. All right, last game we come into then. We call this the 4-color game. Again, probably played it. Played it as a tech-tac game, played it as a passing game, played it as a something else. But we're gonna play it as a psychological game. We're gonna figure out a few interventions from it, and we're gonna see how they solve problems through it, all right?
Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, SWOT. Now we come into the final game, where we start looking, scanning for opportunities, threats. There's going to be multiple activities going on at the same time. We're going to have orange and black as one team versus blue and green as another team. Green cannot pass the green. Blue cannot pass the blue. Orange cannot pass the orange. Black cannot pass the black. So therefore, if you have the ball, whom are you passing to? And if you receive it, whom are you passing to? Good. Anybody from orange, green and blue can tackle or intercept or counter because you're a team. But you're now teams within teams. You're a team of teams. With the theme I'm looking at is opportunities and threats. I'm going to take one player off at the side, I'll take one green off with me, and I'll take one black off with me, and then we'll rotate on and off as we go. All right? Simple game. Our field is goal, goal, sidelines. All right? What am I interested in? Blues and greens get together, blacks and oranges get together. What am I looking at? What am I interested in? Goalkeeper, get to your team. What am I interested in?
Self-reflect while watching this video.
Listen to your team.
Where I can cognitively be better. But again, I'm getting them to give me the content. They're owning their own content. What
am I interested in?
To achieve?
Focus, so we can like pass concentration.
Young man, keep stepping forward all the time. I like it.
Playing simple. We're after behaviours. What behaviours am I interested in?
Concentration.
Concentration, good. Effort, good. Attitude, good. 1, 2, and 3. Think about those. Okay, we're going to go for about 2 minutes. So we're going to play, then we'll reassess and go for another 2 minutes. 2 minutes, reassess, go for another 2 minutes.
3 minutes of the game.
Okay, what am I interested in behaviour-wise?
Tempo.
Okay, tempo of the game. All right. Effort, good. What else? Attitude. Okay, what else? What have we been doing all day?
Scanning.
Scanning, looking for
the pass.
For the opportunity, for the space. That's where we're going. All right. Over here, down that end. Keepers in goal. Oranges down that end. 2 minutes to play. Opportunities and threats. 2 minutes to play.
You can solve the problem. What is going wrong? What do we need to improve There you go. Black passes to orange, orange passes to black, etc., etc. Because of the training, we just put them through their style of training.
Hey, no! Leave it! Hey, look at me! Look green!
Jogging, sprint in please. Blues and greens on my left, oranges and blacks on my right.
As we bring them in, we're going to use quick goal green boards here. Quick goal.
Work on your activities there. All right. Passing well to blacks and oranges. What do you have to do to get the ball forward? And what does success look like for you now in the second 2 minutes? Go. There's your board. Show me. Nice movement. I really like the way one of you blue players left the ball, shielded the ball and screened the ball so that it went onto one of the yellow players' feet, because we communicate that through. In the next 2 minutes, draw me the picture on the other side, this side, whichever you want. What do you have to do now to get a certain number of shots off in the next 2 minutes? And what a certain number of shots would success look like? Go.
So from this now, we just challenge him using the quick goal boards there to draw a picture of where we want to go. I gave them the guided lines of, if you solved it yourself, probably, there was no penetration. Everything was just midfield passing around to possession. They had no wish to go forwards. So now I'm challenging them with that. How can they create that penetration? How can they move forwards? What can they do to achieve this? And let's see where they go. A picture reacts 60,000 times more powerfully than words. I think what it's like when you're actually drawing.
So, effective communication, what is it?
Taking pictures for subliminal actions after the game, after training, to send them through our social media or whatever, to group me it through. But listen to this young man, listen to what we pick up on him, but then watch the other group.
Gentlemen, is that effective?
No, this guy should be wide, so he can receive the pass.
Okay, reset, stop there.
And then
okay. Have you mentioned a black player? Have you mentioned an orange player?
no.
So you can make it effective. Discuss it.
He said how many shots do we want and how many successful?
How many shots and how many of them are successful? I don't know.
How many do we need? I mean
Yeah, play it out wide.
Do we need to play wider? Let's say we want 4 shots. Yeah, wider's probably best.
Yeah, so blue switch field.
You
switch the field.
No, you just don't like to give away talk.
An orange right here and a black right here, so we can do through balls and actually pass it. And then same over here, so you can switch the field. And this one and this one have to be different colors too, so you can do the through balls. And then you can also cross it in so that this one can run in, this one can run in, and they're different colors, so they can like actually combine. Then the middle one can be actually any color because it can pass in any direction. And yeah, that's basically it.
Okay. Talk to me about your plan. What's your plan? Show me your plan.
We think if we go wider.
Show me your plan, please.
Wrong way. Explain it. Oh, explain it. Why are you putting it
upside down?
Fine.
Just explain it. Okay, so basically, the center back, if he starts with the ball, we'd rather go wider and then cut back a pass across to our forward.
Okay.
Because if we go wider, there's more space out there to take on 1v1s.
And specifically, your success for me watching this is you've used green and blue. You physically thought about how you're going to do it through green and blue players.
Yes, sir.
Good. Put it on the field. You got 2 minutes. Go.
Imagine how they go back on that field now and play. They know they're doing well. All right. They've seen themselves doing well, and they've been recognised in front of their teammates. Well, guys, we can recognise in front of their teammates. Girls sometimes don't like full recognition in front of their peers. They prefer it a little bit more restricted or quiet. But see if we can see these patterns on this field again.
Take a goal kick.
Can we see it? Ball comes in the goal kick. That means great. What are we building? Definitely looking at getting Imagine that point of attack, like they said. Now the centre back has the ball, playing it out. Another penetrating attack. So in 30 seconds, we've had 2 end-to-end attacks. Why? Because we challenge them to create it. Simply. That's the credit I'm going to give the players. They say you're either looking through a window or looking at a mirror. Instead, you're looking through that window and you're getting that success. When you're not successful, you need to look in the mirror, because chances are it's something we've done in the show. Still going to stick to the rules of the game.
Orange to orange. Makes it a green or
if it goes orange to orange, we've got to uphold those rules. So I'm scanning for these ideas, I'm scanning for the other ideas.
From
Keep
side.
playing.
Step.
Centre back. What did he say he was going to do? Got a Lone Ranger. If you were in the actual game there, you can see that the guy from the black belly, he wanted to pass it out to the guy on the far wing as a black player, but he couldn't. That's what happens throwing now. We can recognise as coaches that if orange has the ball, he can only throw it to a black player. And the green. It didn't solve the problem of marking out all the black players. Watch what happens on the next throw.
Look at Reed.
Another throw. Watch what happens now to the marking system.
Well seen. Good effort.
Well, wasn't a pass though.
You got 20 seconds.
Guy comes on.
The black ones.
Go to the green and blue mark.
Hey, step on up.
They've solved their own problem. Now this guy's struggling.
Go. Yeah. Go. Hey.
Feel
Me.
You can adapt this, you can choose to play in whichever kind of style you like. Defenders in one colour, however.
Aiden, come over here, please.
Right, this young man called Aiden Phelan.
We've done 2 minutes.
This is what we call a hot review, working from
Play for your answer. Okay, you done all right? Okay, could you review for me, please, your run down here and what you saw coming from the far side?
What do you mean? I might play on the far side.
Okay, could you review? Think back your last 15 seconds. Could you review for me your last 15
I tried
seconds?
running there, but I ran more narrow. And I tried taking a touch and not pacing him to bring it back across, but it didn't work.
Did you have a player on the far side?
Yes, sir.
Was he marked or not?
Open.
When did you recognise he was open?
When I took the run.
Okay. Would you have made that same run again?
Yeah.
You would? Why would you?
Because I would know to pass it first time.
All right. But yeah. So he was open. Did you scan to see that he was open? How many times did you look over there?
When I was running, I scanned twice.
Okay. And from that moment, you saw him open, but you still chose to take on your player. Why?
I didn't feel like, I thought the ball was too wide and I wouldn't be able to get to it.
Do you feel there's another decision there? Or do you feel that was the only decision for you?
It could have been another decision if I had played that first time. But
okay, cool. I'm going to show you the video of that. I'm going to review that through video for you after the game, and we'll see where we go on it. See if what you're telling me now is true to what's going to happen on the field. Can we agree on that?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Let's go back on.
Fist pump, but all he wants to do is play. Just let him play. But yeah, so we'll review that after the game with him again. He gave me his answers, but if he actually gets to watch the video, were there other things happening? Did he choose the right answers? That's his job. He made him think about his ideas and his answers.
Relax there, guys. Jog in, please.
So we got him thinking about it, and then we challenged his thoughts to a different process, possibly. So we even brought in the metacognition into him there. And he gave us out some great thoughts. Now, they're his thoughts, they're his decisions. But if I, as a coach, learn how my players think and at what period of the game they're playing, then surely that can benefit our team. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for game color reflection. Creation, control, and ownership of ideas. They were very strong out there. They grew. Remember, this is a brand new team. Not seen them before, first hour on the team, how they're growing already. Weaknesses. Initially incorporating the cognitive behavior into the game. They wanted to give me tech-tac outcomes. They wanted to tell me what they were going to try and focus on. It was all passing or receiving. No. I've got to challenge them to give me their thoughts. We can play tech-tac into it once we get their thoughts strong. Opportunities. Intervention and review, problem solving. Aiden there is fantastic. Use that, you could use that as a tool with other players. He came back through and he explained to you his thoughts, what was happening, his decision process. Would he do it again? You look at his body language. He was strong. He was positive. He went into the power pose or the Superman pose, whatever you want to call it, because he kind of knew that he was right. And you don't tell me you don't want that in a player. That was really nice. And then threats, personality, leadership. We're starting to see the ones come through. Again, Mark Bennett calls them ninjas, but they're coming through and coming forward. And others are stepping back. So now we've got to, as we're starting to learn their behaviors here, we've got to challenge them and bring the sheep forward a little bit more. All right, so then as we close this session down now.
To review where we came from this morning, or where we came from before the training session started, we spoke about behaviours, we spoke about our actions, our attitude and our effort. Would anybody else add any behaviours to that we picked up in the last hour? Intensity. Okay, we can add intensity to that, behaviour of intensity.
They're growing their thoughts.
Where did discipline come in?
Listening. When you mess up a pass.
Listening, good. That's a great behaviour. Where did discipline come in?
When we can only pass to like the opposite.
And you win a run.
That's the game. We don't necessarily need to discipline the game. Well, we didn't mess up. It's when we didn't do what we said we would do. We all said we'd run around that pole out there. And some of us cheated our teammates. That's discipline. Discipline is a habit, not necessarily a behaviour. Okay, what else? What other behaviours? Anything else from you guys? Biggest one I'm going to pull out of that is listening. Listening to teammates, listening to the team. And how you grew from it, especially in that last game. So people leave the ball, let the ball go rolling through. Choices, we had pace of play, technique.
Through nicely. But that's sort of our conclusion to the training session there. But it's a conclusion of the presentation there. So Arthur Schopenhauer, a very strong, powerful psychologist from the 1800s and 1900s. But he says, when you're trying to introduce change, the first time you try and introduce change, people will laugh at you. They won't believe in you. They won't take you seriously. And then when they see when this change is actually happening, they're going to fight you about it. They're going to oppose you. But then when they see it's happening and they see the positive actions from the process, they start to understand it. And they'll accept it as if it was common sense in the first place originally. And this happens whenever we try to, I can't say whenever, but this happens when we try to use change and try to change things. Right? So in a pass, we use this taxonomy. And we work when we're planning through to try and build these cognitive sessions. What's the initial purpose? What's the reason for this session? And we start with the final whistle, is how we pronounce it. We start with the end in mind. And we build our session from there. As you notice, we build the session with the board. We came back to the session with the board. How does it fit into our big picture? What's our identity? What's our DNA? What's our playing style? How do we recognize and connect this to our other areas? Why teach passing if we're a direct dribbling team? Well, whatever it might be. But we need to do this. Brené Brown talks about painting done. And we need to make sure when we get our purpose out there at the very beginning, we need to show them the reason why. And then we break into our agreed roles. We train the trust. At Pass, we have this idea called train it, test it, trust it. And it's our teaching philosophy and how we go through it. So we train the trust. We look to the agreed success criteria. We get the players to make this success criteria, but how it fits into the process in line with their identity as a person and as a player and as a team, especially when we come into teams and do this with new teams and break and support the growth of teams in their ideas and their cultures. Demonstrations, breakdowns. We set UAEs, unacceptables, acceptables, and excellencies, what they look like. We do this via goals, via challenges, via questions. All right. But we stay specific to our agreed outcomes. I'm not going to challenge you on something we haven't agreed to. Problem solving. We fit this into our playing style. We solve problems in the flow. Paint bigger pictures each time. How does this problem affect this area? How can we grow it? If we're responsible for this and we change this, what are we changing further down? As we talk to consequences, there's generally always individual consequences and team consequences to a decision. Can we make those positive? And we talk about laddering down. Starting with the final whistle, we then break it back down to areas that we can measure along the way. Observations, we test the trust. We stay back, we observe, we watch, we reinforce, we pressure excellence. And we continually try to progressively add more pressure into the activity to make different decisions under pressure. We come into the measurement then. We evaluate our agreed success criteria. What does excellence look like? What are our outcomes? We scan, we grow, and we try to grow emotional awareness. This is huge. This emotional awareness within the psychological area of the game is massive. And I'd really request that a lot of you try maybe look into that and grow from that. And if you've done it already, congratulations to you. We adjust the content, intensity. You know, if we're not going to get through the full lesson plan, we're not going to get through the full lesson plan. It's there as a guide for us as coaches. If the players aren't moving on at the level we'd like them to move on, we don't just move on because the lesson plan tells us to move on. We have to measure it, maybe come back again. Then the last phase of it for us is fusion. We trust the trust. We combine all these elements and we get back to this painting done business. We have a little reflection debrief at the end. See what we learn. We use this standard, what did you learn? And they have to come back and tell us what they learned. They can't repeat what other people say. We try and connect the whole picture, giving the game back to the players. All right then, so leaving thoughts. Habits. Habits lead to behaviors. Good habits lead to great behaviors. But the autonomous subconscious fixed ways of coaching acquired through previous repetition of unconscious actions. I mean, that's a lot of verb, isn't it? It's a lot of noise, but that's what a coaching habit is. But the behavior side of thing, we want to look at the player first, player last approach. Talk to the player first, then maybe we have our little spiel, but then the player has their final say in it. But they're there want to solve the cognitive, or maybe even think deeper about the cognitive into the metacognitive areas of problem solving. They develop their thought patterns and their accountabilities. Okay. So the areas I chose to research this from was Fergus Connolly, great guy to work through. James Kerr, Legacy, one of the better books out there, I think, on culture. It's all about rugby and the All Blacks, but we can learn a lot from other sports. Just like we preach that our players should play as many sports as possible, coaches should coach or learn from as many sports as possible. And then I imagine you've read these other books, Captain Class and How Elite Athletes Are Made. But that's just sort of some of the resources we use to get there. Now, if you'd like further information or clinics or ideas, give me a call. Drop me an email, get me through Twitter at Verbal Vitamins, Instagram. We're under the Pass Academy, and on our website we have lots of different ideas there. So closing, any questions or thoughts from participants in the video presentation today?
We just had a couple of them that popped up. As one of them, how quickly do you see changes in players, and are the changes long-term or are they short-lived?
Okay, great question there. So to change a behavior, ideally psychologists will say to you, it takes about 6 weeks to change a behavior, to remodel someone. Think about military training. Your basic training is 6 weeks long, but then you might be in the military for 20 years. I'd say it's the craft in you that when you see the benefits from them. This was an hour training session with 30 players that I used 12 or 16 players at a time from. And in an hour, I got them to evidentially talk about, focus on, and reflect to their behaviors. I wasn't totally successful in it, but I got them in that hour to achieve that. Now it's up to me as a coach to relentlessly focus on this and hold them accountable to it through our non-negotiables, through our acceptables, unacceptables, our culture. But if I'm doing my job as a coach correctly, and I'm holding myself accountable, they're holding themselves accountable to our vision or our values, we can make this happen very, very quickly. When I say very quickly, you can get their behaviors changing pre-season comfortably. But we've all got to be in agreement. Everybody is agreeing to it. We're not trying to make somebody do something they will not agree to. Other thoughts on it, DJ?
And we got one more, and is the net positive gain individual or is it collective?
There is no I in team, so they say, but there's 11 people that are all individuals collectively making up a team. And if you don't treat each individual as an individual, chances are you're not going to create the identity of a team. So is it individual or is it collective? I think we work, different players, different roles, different positions have different leadership behaviors and different age groups. So I think, yes, we change at our level first, the coach as well as the players individually. And if I can change one, I can change two. Or I don't want to say change, but if I can grow one, I can grow two. Two will grow four. To support that, I'll place the ones that are really doing well, our architects that are growing and buying into our culture through behavioral change. I'll place them and partner them up with other people that might not be growing so well. Or they might be a little bit silent. They need to find their voice. So I'm going to use my tools as a coach to advance this within here. But it's one of our pillars. When we're planning, every training session we're planning should be technical, tactical, psychological, and physical. Those elements should go into every single training session for the players and for the coach in a way. And if we're not, and we're getting problems, and if you have to blame your player for anything that is not a non-negotiable, then chances are it's behavioral. And chances are, honestly, it's our fault as coaches. Any other questions, DJ? Anything else?
That's all we've got for right now.
All right. Well, thank you to Tasco. I'd like to thank you for inviting me out to put this presentation on. We have another presentation on Monday at 10:30 a.m. talking about finding your performance purpose in your team, finding your team's training why, kind of like a workshop presentation. Looking forward to that. I hope you have a great rest of the convention, and thank you very, very much. Thanks you indeed. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Neil.
Yeah, thank you, Coach Hull, for coming on and sharing with us today. I know I gained a lot from that, and I'd be willing to bet a lot of our coaches did as well. And the ones that didn't make it for the live session, I'm sure will come back and be able to download it and see it later on. But, you know, we've got sessions at 5:30 as well, so we'd like to invite all the coaches to hang around and come back on. We have a webinar on Coach Greg Winkler will be on, and then